because this dependency, this workspace dependency, we actually create a live dependency that it's, well, like the live one, the one that it's actually using the proper API. But no one is stopping us in making a static let a mock version of this dependency that creates the same effect and all that stuff. But instead, what we can do is we can go here and take these two applications, and basically we can just pass them here on the success. So now we have basically now we just mock a dependency. That's everything we've done. Like it's just that it's part of this workspace for organization purposes. And now what we need to do is when we create the preview, we need to create an environment that uses the mock workspace. And now just with that, we're going to see how even if this reloads, it's going to keep being like the same applications because those are the applications that we mock. If we actually, so we could run the app and click the button and see how things disappear and that kind of stuff. But what if instead we use unit testing? What if instead we write a test to exercise this functionality and actually see that it works without running the application at all? And it's just an excuse to show you how tests works, because I think it makes tests really nice to write, to be honest. I'm quite excited about this way of testing. So we just have this testing that, to be honest, I think I can get rid of all of this. And the first thing that you want is to import the composable architecture test support, because that's going to give us like some tooling to test our functionality in a very, very, very nice thing. So let's just use this test example for now. We don't need anything else. Okay, and remember that we have the mock already. We have the mock here. If you want, you can move this into your test file, for example. That's like something that we often do. We put our mocks on the test target. But I actually like to keep it on the normal like production target, although I usually put it with an if debug to not ship it on production. But I want to keep it on this target because that allows me to use it on the previews. So I can use the same mocks for having nice previews, but also for the testing, which I think it makes it really nice and easy, and you don't have to start duplicating fake data everywhere. So that's a nice tip for you. So then what we need is, what we want to test, it's the logic and the reducers, and that we send the actions, things happen, all that stuff. And for that, we need the store, okay? But the store that we are going to create, it's not the same store that you create when you are basically in production code. We're going to create a test store. And the test store has a very similar initializer, okay? So there is nothing too different here. We have the initial state, which for this case, let's say that we want the kill apps state, and that needs a list of applications, which we can just leave empty for this test. The reducer, we want the production one, the production kill apps reducer. There you have it. In terms of the environment, because we're running tests, we want to use the mock environment. So that's quite simple. We already have done that for the previews. So we can just create an environment here that is using a mock workspace. Okay. And I think we can ignore this. And now we should have the store. Now we have our store, and now we want to test something. What do we want to test? For example, well, that when I start, well, there is no applications. So to have applications, the screen needs to appear, and when it appears, it needs to load some applications. Which ones? The ones from the mock. And then after that, I can click on kill one of the applications. and that should do something on the store. So we can test all of that, and the way you do that, it's quite simple and quite nice. So the store has this assert where the parameter is basically a variadic steps. So that helps a lot in making visually appealing your test, which I think it's something important. So what we said we have to do, well, the first thing we need to do is we say, okay, so this feature starts and gets on the screen. So we can send to the store that the feature appeared, okay? And we can test that. And if we run this, we immediately see this testing functionality like already telling us very interesting things. So what is happening is it's telling us that we received an unexpected action. So that's already, like, just with this, it's already giving you so much things. Like, you're writing a test and your expectation, it's not complete because you are not telling the test that, well, when we receive an unappear, this unappear, it's actually giving you an effect to go to the environment and get the applications. So your test is actually wrong, because wait, or something is wrong here because your production code is doing one thing and your test is not telling me that's happening. So like in this case, this kind of test is not 100% feature proof, but it's way much better than just doing asserts individually on specific things. So to do this, what we need to actually do is we need to tell the system that I'm expecting to receive an action. Which action am I expecting to receive? Well, I'm expecting to receive the all applications actions, as you can see here, with which applications we can use, for example, the workspace mock. Let me just get it from here. So which applications I'm going to receive? Well, I'm going to receive these two applications. Whoops, I don't know what I copied there. Okay, so now we have improved our tests. We have given more information and we are having more things tested for free. So we are sending on appear, and then we expect to receive this event with this specific data from the event. So imagine this is an API request, so you can actually say, no, I'm expecting this specific thing from the mock API. And we run it again to see what's gonna tell us. But it's failing again. And why? Because we said, yes, I'm receiving this data. But we're not saying what's the expected output from the mutation with that data, with this action. So this is telling us that the state has changed. And then now on the state, we have new applications. But we are not asserting on that. So again, or our test is wrong because we are not giving the information of the current state that the application should be in, or our production code is wrong and we are actually doing things that we shouldn't be doing. So again, the tests have our back again. So how do you actually assert that the state is the way you expect it? So to do that, you can open a closure here on the receive, and you get basically a copy of the state that you can actually say, you can actually mutate on the flight, and then this helper is basically going to check that the expected state, which is what you're specifying here, matches what the result is. So then you can extract this in a variable and stuff like that, but let's just copy paste it for now, just for simplicity. And we can run the test again. So what we're saying, when I receive an appear, I'm gonna expect to receive another applications after that with these applications, and that what it's gonna do, it's gonna mutate my state with these new applications that I received. So we have the whole cycle fully tested now, and if we go, for example, and we say, you know what, on appear I don't actually do anything because whatever, because I'm drunk today and I want to break my application to get fired. So that's fine, because when you make the PR, you're going to have the test ready and checking it. Maybe I'm the only one that finds this amazing, but to be honest, like this way of testing and having so much control and just basically writing down the steps to reproduce the test in such an easy and understandable way. I think like there is nothing that gets close to it, to be honest. Like you can, and it's not a critique on XC-test per se. It's like it's not a problem with the testing framework. It's like even if you use whatever quick or nimble or whatever you want to use, like it does, like the problem is not the syntax. The problem is here you are actually interacting with the real store, like your real code, and you're telling what needs to happen and what the state needs to be in on each step, which is it's mind blowing. So, but we can continue. It's like, okay, now I know in which state I am. Like I know I have applications with these two. So let's test this new functionality we added, which is we can tell to the store that I want to kill basically this application. And let's run again. And here everything should be fine, because that's basically what we're doing. We haven't implemented anything here, and we are returning none, so like everything matches in both sides of the coin. So now let's, just for the sake of it, let's try to, for example, just remove it from the array of applications. Like before we go, when we implement the environment and when we touch all of that, let's just try to do that first. And I guess in theory that should be enough, right? So if I run this test now, I should get a failure, and the failures are so nice that it's gonna actually tell me what's the difference on the state. So yeah, as you can see, like Xcode has been removed from the state. So like actually can exercise the tests, and the tests tell me what I have to write to follow the production code, which I find it, I mean, quite nice, because now you just need to do this. And in this case, it doesn't make sense, but there is some cases where your state is more complex, or you're doing more complex like algorithms or something more complex, and you actually, it's really nice that you can just run the test and the test is going to tell you, no, is what I have, but I'm expecting this to go away. So that's quite nice. So what happened here? Yeah, of course, we removed text code, so the one we are still having is Slack. Makes sense. Cool. So that's basically what I wanted to show you in terms of testing. So